You're this perp back with another video, and I just got done watching the season finale of Dare Me. Now, I've been watching this show for a minute now. I wanted to do an episode by episode review, but I was enjoying it the way I was watching it. I was watching other things, so I didn't get around to actually talking about it. But now I get to talk about it, and here's why you should definitely go check this out if you already haven't. I will talk about spoilers a little bit, like in the second half of this review. For those that are just, seeing this for the first time and don't know what this is, I'll kind of give you a breakdown of the three main characters we have, played by Willow Fitzgerald. She plays Colette. Horizon. I'm not going to try to butcher her last name. That plays Addie, and then we have Marlo Kelly that plays Beth. And I'm going to pretty much just give you right now just a breakdown of these characters and what the story is pretty much about. So essentially the backdrop is cheerleading, and you're thinking to yourself like, okay, but just think of the cheerleading aspect just as like a backdrop, or kind of just a part of the plot. And this is on USA, and what really drew me to this show is they just drop a bunch of F-bombs. Imagine like a CW show that just drops a bunch of F-bombs, but there's more to the story besides just that. So let's get into it. Let's start with one of our main characters, Addie. And I gotta say off rip, she is not my favorite character in this. And her personality, she gives off, she's beautiful, don't get me wrong, the actress is beautiful. I've seen her on The Get Down. She has the acting chops, but what they did with her character in this is just like, man, it was kind of frustrating to watch. But essentially, Addie is one of the main characters that we follow. She is best friends with Beth. Beth is her best friend and whatnot, and she is pretty much a follower for the most part. Her and Beth were like this dynamic duo. That was Beth's right hand girl. That's her main girl. But she essentially gets caught up with a lot of shit that she could have really avoided. She starts to really like the coach, and I'll get to the coach in a minute. And she's just really easily impressed by certain characters. It's something about a character that has to be dominant or something like that she's really attracted to. But some of the things she does in this are just really foolish. And it's interesting how they portray her and Beth's relationship, because she looks at Beth a completely different way than Beth looks at herself, and I'll get to that and what I mean by that very shortly. Out of these three, though, she is definitely my least favorite. Just certain decisions she decides to make, but she adds to the story and whatnot. But let's go over to Beth, and Beth is by far my favorite character throughout this series, played by Marlo Kelly. She is a very when you first get introduced to her, she seems like a Regina George type girl, and she always has to be in control. And she's the leader of the cheerleading team. So she takes this cheerleading stuff really serious. Everybody pretty much takes the cheerleading very serious, a little bit more than the coach. The coach definitely takes it a lot serious. Colette, I'll get into her character next. But Beth is an interesting character because you're introduced to her character and you see her one way, and then a certain event happens with her and you really see what she sees and how she's not that bad. Because like I said, like Addie sees her personality a lot different than what we see. So yeah, she is the leader, she's the popular girl, she's the it girl kind of, and she doesn't really like Colette, because Colette is a new coach that comes in and kind of just shakes things up, and not really in the nicest way, because Beth had order, and now out of nowhere, this girl comes here and just tries to change everything, and she's not really about that. She's also very close to Addie and really cares about her, but you don't really see that until the end of the series. Like, she's hiding something, and I just gotta say, the actress that plays Beth did a phenomenal job. I think she gave one hell of a performance. But let's go over to Colette, because she is a very mysterious character when you're first introduced to her. She's the new head coach of the cheerleading team, comes in there with a very quote unquote military type of esque, demeanor. She's very serious, she's very stern, she doesn't really take no shit from nobody, and she also loves being in control. You see that a little bit more than Beth, and this is why Beth doesn't really like her. She seems very possessive and very controlling and manipulative, especially with Addie. She's able to pretty much get into her head. She's married and she has a kid and she has a baby, but then things just get really crazy for her character, and I'm not going to spoil that because we're going to get a little into some spoilers starting now. So if you haven't been caught up to this and you like these 3 breakdowns of these characters, let me know in the comments below if this interests you. We're going to get into more of what the story is actually about, because I felt like this was really an interesting way to tell a story, because it throws you through some hoops. When it first starts, the first 2 episodes, you're thinking like, oh, it's going to be about this new coach getting blackmailed because Beth and Addie catch her pretty much cheating on her husband with this military dude, and there's these military dudes that go throughout the school, and it's not really explained why they're there. I guess to recruit people or just talk to certain people, but they're a mystery also, which they didn't really explain certain things. The person that Colette was messing around with, it kind of just seemed like thrown together at first, but they do kind of explain it more towards the end, that they just met when she met back in the town. They're like high school sweethearts, so they instantly fell for each other. Colette is trying to balance her work with dealing with her situation with Will, the person that she's having a affair with. A lot of dark shit. This is a very dark show. At the end of this series, they tease that Will killed himself, but there's definitely way more to the story than what meets the eye, because if you've seen the ending and it ended on this cliffhanger, Colette and her husband had something to do with Will's death, and they didn't really explain that. Like, they're most likely saving that for season 2. I don't know what's going to happen with the guy that was messing around with Beth, which will be interesting to see if she's going to get some type of closure. So, the only person, and Beth is the only one that really puts 2 and 2 together, because Addie really makes it obvious once she goes to help Colette, clean things up, and she's pretty much using it as a fall girl. But I enjoyed this series overall. I hope this kind of, if you've checked out this series, let me know in the comments below what your feelings are. Who is your favorite character? What could they possibly do for season 2? Also, now that I think about it, I mentioned that in the beginning of this series that Beth has footage of Colette doing the affair with Will and whatnot. So that might play a huge part into season 2. There's a lot of evidence everywhere. Addie's touching shit and whatnot. So I'm excited for season 2, because I think this is gonna blow up in Colette's face. We just got to wait and see. But until my next video, I will see y'all later. Peace.
When are we gonna understand that we are put on earth to love? that's all it's about. Everybody want to figure out how complicated life is and break it down. This is what I truly think. I really think that it's going to keep going on. War gonna keep going on. Frustration gonna keep going on. Anger gonna keep going on till we finally go back down to the simplest word: love.